Today starts our run on Dallas Stars season grades. We kick things off with a $12 million man and Mikko Rantanen, switch to the up and down season it was for Tyler Seguin, and end with another Finn and Roope Hintz.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Welcome back to another week of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And today we begin our 2024-25 Dallas Stars season grades. We have a trio of forwards for you today: Mikko Rantanen, Tyler Seguin, and Roope Hintz. I'll dedicate a segment to each player. I'll throw out some numbers. I'll throw out some nuggets, some tidbits. And at the end of each segment, I'll give you my letter grade for their season. And I want you, yes, you, to play along with me. Let me know your letter grade for each respective player in the comments below. I'm super pumped to begin these. And we're kicking things off with a splash, with an absolute bomb. Mikko Rantanen. Yes, the Moose, who was acquired on March 7th, 2025. What a glorious day it was from the Carolina Hurricanes for Logan Stankoven, a conditional 2026 first-round pick, a conditional 2028 first-round pick, a 2026 third-round pick, and wait, a 2027 third-round pick. Yes, the Hurricanes got a haul for Mikko Rantanen, but he fit in quite well with Dallas once he arrived. And it was a roller coaster of a season for Rantanen, who was traded a couple of times. He started the season with Colorado, played 49 games, had 64 points in those 49 games, then was traded to Carolina, 6 points in 13 games. Hurricanes fans were on his tail because all of a sudden he couldn't score. He didn't seem like himself, of course, because he was shocked he was even traded to Carolina, and he really didn't fit the system. He finished off the final 20 games of the season in Dallas. He had 18 points in 20 games, and that seems pretty good for most players, but I felt like even some Stars fans were hoping for a little more from Mikko Rantanen, but that did coincide with the Stars' downfall in April, where they lost their last 8 or 9 games, whatever it was, going in to the Stanley Cup Playoffs. But that all added up to 82 games this season for Mikko Rantanen. And in a really chaotic year for him, he had 32 goals, 56 assists, and 88 points, which would have led the Dallas Stars if he played the entire season in Dallas. But 32 goals is, of course, nothing to scoff at, and that would have finished third on the Stars in the goal-scoring department if he played the entire season in Dallas. He played 18 playoff games, 9 goals, 13 assists, 22 points. That led Dallas in the postseason, which is pretty remarkable when you look back at those 9 goals as well. All 9 of them came within a 6-game span. A 6-game span. He went quiet in the Western Conference Final. A lot of Stars went quiet in the Western Conference Final, but gave us some glorious moments. A moment that will live in Dallas Stars history forever. That Game 7 performance against his former club in the Colorado Avalanche. A hat trick in the third period after the Stars were down 2-0 in that Game 7 at home in Dallas. Mikko Rantanen, a heroic performance to will the Stars past the Avs and into the second round, where he followed that up with another hat trick in Game 1 over Winnipeg. The Stars finally won a Game 1 over an opponent with Pete DeBoer as the head coach. So a lot of great things from Mikko Rantanen in a short amount of time. Some numbers I wanted to throw your way. Since March 7th, when he joined Dallas, of course, his expected goals for in the regular season at 5-on-5, 13.42. That was third on the Dallas Stars. His scoring chances for 143, which was third as well. And they had him slotted in with Jason Robertson and Roope Hintz, and that never really quite got going. It had flashes, of course, but he really never gelled until they paired him with a couple other Finns in Roope Hintz and Mikael Granlund in the postseason. And that really was the number one line for Dallas. But I'm curious if Robo is still going to be around, if they will try that combination again with Hintz and Robertson. It just really never quite got off the ground, but the Stars weren't playing particularly well either. So it was just a bit weird. He did lead the team in the playoffs at 5-on-5 in expected goals, 4.9, and points with 13, which was really baffling and astonishing to me is who finished second on the Stars in 5-on-5 points. I'll pause for 3 seconds and you give me a guess of who you think finished second on the Stars in 5-on-5 points. Sam Steele. Whoever chose Sam Steele, congratulations. Let me know in the comments. I'll give you a prize. But incredible that Sam Steele finished second in 5-on-5 points. I think that almost perfectly describes some of the issues the Stars were having. But enough of that. Mikko Rantanen. My first impressions of him was he's bigger than I thought. At 6'4", I just really never noticed that when the Stars played Colorado. And when you get to watch a player night in and night out, you start to notice a few more things. His play along the wall, I am still super impressed with how he plays on the outside of the rink. For his size, he stick handles extremely well in tight spaces. He makes plays within tight spaces, and that's what makes him an incredible postseason performer. And if you recall, we talked about that quite a bit when the Stars acquired him last season. His playoff numbers are incredible, over a point per game in his postseason career. And he followed it up with 22 points in 18 games. And he was a bit inconsistent at times. It's not like the Stars were rolling, but that was also just the Dallas Stars offense in general. For the most part, Rantanen almost fueled them to the Western Conference Final. If some others could have pinched in a bit more, I think maybe that the Stars still could be playing it at this point. No disrespect to the Edmonton Oilers, who were obviously the better team in the series. But you have to imagine it was a very, very chaotic season for Mikko. The shock of being traded to Carolina, didn't put up great numbers there. A couple of weeks later, he's in Dallas. Then just a few days later, he's going back to Colorado for the first time. It was just a whirlwind for the Moose, but still put up really solid numbers. Like I said, 88 points in 82 games. I'm really excited to see a full season of Mikko Rantanen in Victory Green. And he obviously fits in fantastically with the other Finns in the room, with Hintz and Granlund. That line did a lot of damage this postseason, but he was a lot of fun to watch. Hockey stat cards, his offensive rating plus 13.1, his defensive rating minus 1.4 for a net of 11.7. That's also one of the things I really noticed about Rantanen too. Of course, we all heard the Nathan McKinnon merchant and all that good stuff. He doesn't care about defense, but I thought he was a very willing defender. I don't need him to be a Selke trophy candidate. He's playing with Roope Hintz. He was playing with Granlund, who I also know isn't a defensive maestro by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought Rantanen was a willing defender, and maybe some of that was he's trying to gain some respect from his teammates and show that he's willing to win. And he was excellent in that department for the most part. It'll just be nice to have Mikko with a full training camp under his belt, a full off season heading into next year. Of course, the Stars are going to bring in a new coach. How is that going to affect his minutes? How is that going just to affect his play in general, if it's a different style from what Pete DeBoer played? But Mikko did play quite a bit as the season wore along. He was playing a bit less in the regular season than he had in years past. I want to take a look at his average time on ice numbers. with the Stars in his 20 regular season games. I have to scroll all the way down here on the hockey reference page to find where Rantanen fits in. I cannot find his name. There it is. So he played 19 minutes, which was a couple of minutes less because he was playing over 20 pretty much consistently in Colorado. But in the playoffs, they started double shifting him more. He was playing just under 21 minutes since they needed him. He was one of the few Stars that seemed to be creating offense. And look, it didn't lead to production consistently. And I think even some Stars fans were upset with what they saw. But I thought Mikko did a phenomenal job for what he went through. And it finally seemed to click in those first 2 rounds. He was fantastic. And Mikko Rantanen was the least of the Stars' issues in that Western Conference final, although it would have been nice for him to chip in. He had just 3 points in that series. God, he hit a few posts too. It just seemed like everybody was hitting posts. But that's all said. My letter grade for Mikko Rantanen, I give him an A-. I give him an A-. You have to take everything into consideration, regular season, postseason. So maybe for a certain player, the postseason brings him down a letter grade or half letter grade. I'll give him an A-. 18 points in 20 games in the regular season, nothing to scoff at, and 22 points in the playoffs. What is keeping him from an A+? Just some more production in some of the bigger moments. And maybe that's harsh. I mean, gosh, the reason the Stars even got to the second round was because of him. But as they got deeper, he wasn't scoring as much in terms of goals. Like I said, 9 goals in those 6 games. I'm going to hold him to a pretty high standard. So I give him an A-, which isn't a bad score by any means. But that's where I land on Mikko Rantanen for the 2024-25 season. Of course, did not play his whole year, but did a lot of great things and had a positive impact on the Stars, and it'll be fun to watch him for the next 8 years. Let's switch to Tyler Seguin. Boy, what an up and down season he had. It got off to a phenomenal start, and it actually ended pretty decently as well. We'll touch on Seguin here in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, Locked On Stars listeners. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money, you start building wealth. You can save more and budget smarter with Monarch, because Monarch Money will show you how much you're spending going out to eat every night or on some entertainment. It's the all-in-one convenience of just having one app like Monarch Money to plan your long-term goals. And it's easy for you or with your partner. Shared personal accounts, set goals, stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. We now move on to Tyler Seguin, the assistant captain for the Dallas Stars. And when I went back and I wrote notes down for each player, I went back and just looked at his numbers. Man, I wish he stayed healthy for an entire season just to see where his numbers would have been at, because gosh, he got off to such a roaring start. 21 points in 20 games during the regular season, 9 goals and 12 assists. His points per 60 were 3.38 through the 20 games. That was second highest of his career. Now, would he have sustained the point per game pace he was on? Maybe not, but Matt Duchene did, and he would have been playing alongside Matt Duchene for the entire season. So who knows? And of course, Seguin and Marchment both got hurt at one point. And of course, Seguin was placed on the IR on December 2nd. He had surgery in December for a hip, and he wasn't placed on the long-term IR until February 1st. He also suffered a shoulder injury during the playoffs. He will be rehabbing that this summer. But man, he had such good numbers during the regular season. What a hot start. And you're thinking, oh my goodness, Seguin at 35 years of age, or 33, it may have a a phenomenal season, one of the best of his career. And if he stayed healthy long enough, maybe he would have. But he ended up playing 18 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs, 4 goals, 4 assists, and 8 points. His faceoff percentage during the regular season was 52%. It actually increased to 53.4 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We talked about that a bit. We documented how important he is, especially on the right circle, on his backhand. He came back into the lineup, and he really helps Dallas in the faceoff dot. He did play game 82 for Dallas, if you recall, against Nashville. Came in, boom, had an assist in the first 16 seconds of that game. All hell broke loose after that in that game as the Stars went on to lose game 82. But I just thought he was such a trooper this season, worked his bag off to even compete in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I thought he had a wonderful run, especially in the Western Conference final against Edmonton. He was fantastic in that game one. Through the first 2 periods of that game one, Tyler Seguin was the best Dallas Star, was just working so incredibly hard. And it would have been nice for him to get rewarded a bit more and in that series outside of game one, because he was a catalyst for the Stars' victory. Had 2 goals and 1 assist in game one for 3 points. He didn't have a point the rest of the series, but my goodness, what a game one he had. Just felt like he was sort of willing the Stars to get back in that game, and the power play certainly had an effect on things as well. But I thought he just had a rather strong postseason for the most part. I mean, 8 points in 18 games. I'll take that from Tyler Seguin coming off another hip surgery. The fact that he was even playing was a really big deal for Dallas. He had some timely goals in the postseason as well for Dallas. Those 4 goals were pretty large. Of course, the 2 he had against Edmonton in game one, but he had a big one in game 2 against Colorado to even that series after Dallas lost another game 1, and just had some big moments sprinkled there throughout when he's playing alongside Marchman, who couldn't stop himself from taking penalties, Duchesne, who just couldn't buy a goal or an assist, it felt like this postseason. But I just thought he was a perfect representation of what Dallas needs moving forward in the leadership department. He was what I think we expect Jamie Benn to be. I felt like Tyler Seguin played some more of that role, and he's never going to be the Jamie Benn power forward, right? That's going to be intimidating and throwing his weight around. Like, that's not his game. But in terms of just the leadership by his play, by his presence, it was touched on a lot during the season, how much he was involved even while he was rehabbing with the Stars. He's at practice. He was around. He would go on road trips as well. And I think that just shows the maturity level of him. And we've talked about that a lot. It's been documented. But this was a trying season. And for him to work his bag off, like I said, to get back to play this season, because we expected or it was very likely he may not see the ice again this season, just based off the history with another hip surgery, but came back and was excellent. His offensive rating plus 3.9, defensive rating plus 0.2 this regular season, for net rating plus 4.1. And yeah, it was just 20 games, but he had 21 points, got off to such a great start. And I really wish we could have seen a full year of games for Tyler, who seemed to still have some life in those legs. He really did for the most part, but had goals in games 2 and 3 of that Colorado series. Of course, Dallas won both of those games in overtime, so he was instrumental in those 2 games. Had a really, looking back on it, because Mikko Rantanen, who we just talked about, overshadowed a lot of what Seguin did. Seguin ended up with 4 points in those 7 games and 2 goals in that series. Like, massive. Only had a point in the Winnipeg series. It came on the game winner in game 6 for the Thomas Harley overtime winner. That was a great pass. Had 3.9 in that game 1, as we mentioned, and wasn't able to muster up very much moving forward. But I gave Seguin an A. I gave Tyler Seguin an A. And of course, some of these may have to do with your expectations of a player coming into the season. But I think for what we saw out of Tyler Seguin, an A feels very fair. Maybe I'm a bit bonkers for having him above Rantanen, but again, I think my expectations are a bit higher for Rantanen. So I'll give Seguin an A. Thought he was fabulous for his short stint. Really, he almost had two little short stint of seasons. It's crazy because 20 regular season games, and then he just had the 18 to finish off the year in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So that is my official season grade for Tyler Seguin of 2024-25. Now to Roope Hintz, another Finn. Broke his foot, of course, in the Western Conference Final. Well, he didn't really break his foot. Darnell Nurse did. Let's do a summary on Hintz's season and my letter grade upcoming in just a moment. Roope Hintz, the Dallas Stars 1C. I have my Swami shirt on. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, got this bad boy the other day, a little Four Nations merch, and have to rep our wonderful Finns here in Dallas. Roope had another solid regular season. Did not reach the 30-goal mark. If he did, it would have been the fourth straight season. Had 28 goals, 39 assists, 67 points in 76 games with the Dallas Stars. His faceoff percentage was 53.9% in the regular season. He finished the playoffs with 17 games played. He missed the one game with the broken foot. 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points in those 17 games. I want to say that was second on the Dallas Stars in the postseason. His faceoff percentage actually dipped to 49.8%. His goals for percentage was 58.75, which was better than Seguin and Mikko played just to combine 40 games with Dallas during the regular season. He had a really strong offensive year. He had some really streaky months. I went and took a look at some of his splits, and Hintz had just some months where he went bonkers. He had 21 points in 13 games during the month of March. He was also over a point per game at home this season. I think he had 41 points in 40 games. So he had some really interesting splits. I want to share some of those more numbers for you because it's really interesting to look at some of the month scoring. But he had that tear in March. He also had a tear in January. We just got on these streaks. And if you recall, for a bit, December through January was really the only guy that seemed to score goals consistently for the Stars, but had a really solid year in a lot of different aspects. I thought he played really well during the postseason. I mean, he's going head to head with Mikko, not Mikko, sorry. He's going head to head with Nathan McKinnon. Thought had a really strong series against Colorado. You know, scored some big time goals here and there, but he was tasked with doing a lot too. I just feel like he was having to play just really solid game in all three zones, right? I think we saw that from Mikko. Back on some of the splits, he had 13 points in 12 games in January, but the outburst of 21 points, he had 17 assists in the month of March. Jason Robertson helped with that. He was on fire during that month of March as well, where the Stars just seemed to win a lot of games. Really, they had no business winning in as well. But we really started to see him pop off with Rantanen too. That was obviously a really good combination. They had played a bit together back in the Team Finland days, our World Juniors, and they were teamed up in the Four Nations a bit too. I don't think they ever exclusively played with one another, but They did have some moments. He had a really strong first round. 4 of his goals, all 4 4 of the 6 came against Colorado. Again, this is stuff you almost forget just because of Mikko's heroic performance. But man, did Roope Hintz have some big games. He had 3 goals and 3 assists during that series against Colorado. Yeah, some really big nights there. Played pretty decent against Winnipeg. Had 3 points in the 6 games there. Had a goal and assist in the 5 games against Edmonton. Of course, he had to miss a game because he was sloshed in the foot, and there was no penalty. There was a penalty. Excuse me. There was a 2-minute minor, but should have been a major, obviously. Hintz is a difficult one for me to grade. This may feel really harsh, but I gave him a B+. I have Hintz at a B+. I feel like if you take everything into consideration this year, I can't give him a better grade than I did last season, because I gave him an A last season. I just feel like his numbers were down a bit. He wasn't awful. It's not like it was a huge drop off, but it wasn't quite all there for him. And he was, it was kind of up and down. Like, it was a bit streaky for him, as I mentioned. And I think you'd be surprised, his defensive rating this season, minus 0.3. His offensive rating was plus 8.6 for a net of 8.3. And, he wasn't lighting the stat sheet up consistently enough. Like, you even look at some of his production numbers, like he's about middle of the pack with a lot of different Stars forwards at 5-on-5. If you look at expected goals, his goal forward percentage was 6th on the team. Isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination, right? 58%, but Harley had him beat. Lindell even had him beat some others. But you have to factor in there was just some months where just the offense went dry, and that was sort of a theme with the Stars this season. In a lot of ways, like, it was a chore to score. If you remember from the start of the season, like game 40, it was a chore for Dallas to do a lot of things, and scoring was one of them. That's for sure. But 67 points in 76 games is fine, but I just feel like Roope Hintz has to take a next step. This is probably why I gave him a B+. He should be a point per game, if you ask me. And I know he's a great 2-way player, but Hintz should be able to get to a point per game player in the NHL. And I think that is a fair enough assessment for your number one center. I know he does a lot of other things, but he gets to play with Mikko Rantanen next season. You would think he's going to have a lot of great players around him to put up some numbers. I think that's an expectation I have on Roope Hintz to be a guy that is a point per game player. And yeah, he also plays extremely, extremely good defense. So that's where I sort of am on Roope Hintz. And, 20 goals isn't awful. He had 7 game-winning goals this season, which also led the Stars this season at 7 power play goals. That was nice to see. He had a bit of an increase in that department. And he was playing a bit less, just under 17 minutes. So there was that too. But I'll give him a B+, and not horrible, maybe a bit harsh for some of you, but I think Hintz can take a next step, and maybe that comes next season. He's still in the prime of his career, right? He's gonna be 29 next season. As long as he stays healthy, it's always a worry, a concern. Just hasn't been his calling card. He misses games, right? That's just sort of the type of player he is. But yeah, so there are my 3 respective letter grades for Mikko Rantanen, Tyler Seguin, and Roope Hintz to kick off our 2024-25 Dallas Stars season grades. We'll be doing these throughout the week a bit more. I'll have hopefully maybe an interview with a guest upcoming in the next few days or two. But as long as we have some downtime, because we're still awaiting on Stars to make some decisions, coaching and all of that, we'll kind of do these for now. Eventually, if we need some emergency pods here or there, we'll drop an emergency pod if the Stars make a decision. I'll be on vacation later this week, so hopefully nothing ginormous breaks. Knowing that I'll be gone. They'll probably announce their head coach. So we'll see how that all works out. But yeah, we'll continue to truck through these. I do want to try to give and dedicate a segment to each player, but maybe to some other players, maybe just the lesser names, or maybe just have a huge role. We'll maybe group some together and get through these as quickly as possible. But that's going to do it for a Monday edition of Locked On Stars. Welcome back to another week. Time to grind. Happy Father's Day, by the way. A late Father's Day to all the wonderful dads out there, hockey dads, or just all dads included. Happy Father's Day. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Stars. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Hope it goes well, and we'll see you on the next episode. See you tomorrow, Stars fans. So long.